So within our narrative, we have a timeline of the events in our story. This line represents the timeline of our events, and here is our present tense. Okay? So our two past tenses, as we learned before, are the passé composé and the imparfait. So we're going to represent the imparfait with a squiggly line. So as events happen in your story, we're going to represent them with a squiggly line. As I was walking down the road, bam, I fell. Now this line represents the passé composé. And this is the imparfait. Now, in pairs, I want you to explain the difference between l'imparfait and le passé composé, and then you can begin to work on your own timeline.
So do you get the difference?
I'm still kind of confused, to be honest.
Yeah, I think I am too, but I kind of understand it. Do you want me to try to help you?
Yeah, it's like I'm kind of confused about the fact there's two past tenses. Because I thought in English there's just like one.
Yeah. Is there though?
I thought so.
Well, because like the example she gave was I was walking.
I was walking, okay.
But in English you can say I was walking or I walked.
So then what's the difference?
I don't know, I guess one happens in one particular time, right? I walked. Like, you just do it.
Mm-hmm.
And then I was walking is something that it happens over time. It doesn't happen in one time, right?
Kind of like in the present tense where it's like, I like swimming. Or I like to go swimming.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't say I swam once or I swim.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah.
But I'm still confused why it's called the imperfect.
I don't know.
Let's ask Madame Miro.
Okay. Why is it called the imperfect?
So the imperfect is called imparfait or imperfect because it's not something that happens precisely or perfectly in the past. It's continuous, and that's why we use a squiggly line, because it's not something that happens in one moment. It's a continuous occurrence.
Oh, that makes sense. Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense, right?
I think so, yeah.
So the imperfect happens over time, and passé composé happens
Once.
at one time.
At one time.
Okay. I think we're ready to make the timeline.
Yeah,
Are you?
I am.
All right, let's do it.
Timeline, so we're doing a line. And then, where does the present go? Right here? Right? Think
Yeah, at
so?
the end.
At the end. So, how do you spell that? Le présent. Okay, so the present's there. And then the past is behind the present. So, in her story, she was using the squiggly line. I was walking down the road. Then she said, bam. So, this line represents the imparfait. Imparfait. And this one represents the passé composé. Passé composé. And I think this one represents the imparfait because it's continuous, but it's in the past because it's behind the present. But this is passé composé, so it happens after the imparfait because it's interrupted, but it's still in the past because it's behind the present.
The cognitive constructivist approach, because these techniques emphasize the student's meaning and how they gather meaning. And so with the activity, I asked them to do it in pairs so that they can form their own meaning together. So like scaffolding, my role as the teacher is less active. and I let the students assume more initiative. So I want them to ask questions, but I'm not going to give them direct answers all the time. I'm going to let them try to talk it out themselves. And children's cognitive development is really shaped by the cultural context that they live in. So that's why I chose to do the lesson with the narratives, because they can relate their stories to fairy tales that they grew up with, and they can create their own based on that. In our school, we have 2 French teachers. So Mr. Lauer taught the lesson earlier to my class. We really have a great time with that because we're able to do collaborative learning and collaborative teaching. So he was able to teach the earlier portion of the unit, and I do the middle, and then we figure out the ending too.
Bonjour ma classe de français 4. Aujourd'hui, nous parlons les contes de fées. Écoutez, Belle est tombée amoureuse de la bête et elle est cassée le sortilège. Now, I would like somebody to translate this.
Belle fell in love with the beast, and she broke the... I don't know what sortilège means.
Oh, le sortilège means the spell. Is this est tombé in the same tense as est cassé? How do you know?
Yeah, it's the same tense, because they both have a, and then the past participle.
Following the form of the passé composé in the past tense, I would like you to use a sentence or a couple sentences to start your own story, also in the past tense. I will guide you with that, and so you can give me a character, what they're doing, and we will accomplish the story together. All right, we need a character. Who should we use?
Ooh, Belle.
Belle? Okay, we'll use Belle. Belle. All right, what's Belle doing?
Tombe.
She fell? Again, let's do something different. How about...
Reading. She was reading.
Lire, I like it. All right, how do we conjugate that in the imparfait?
I don't know.
L-I-S-A-I-T. Belle lisait. What is she reading? Or where was she reading?
At the library.
In the library? À la bibliothèque. Point. Then what happens? Un monstre appeared. All right, now on your own, I would like you to use the imparfait in a sentence and also the passé composé in a sentence. Hello, my name is Mr. Lauer, and I work in tandem with Mrs. Miro, and we are doing a collaborative unit on storytelling and narratives. This particular lesson, I was using the example of Beauty and the Beast, or in French, La Belle et la Bête. Here, I put on the board, I put up an example, a little excerpt from the story. And from that, I asked them to translate it and to understand if they knew what story it came from. Because this is a French 4, and from what I assessed them earlier in the year, they have this level of understanding and they can understand basic translations and basic, I don't know, I'm just going on it. And so I had that sentence on there and I asked one of my students to translate that. Of course, I also like to use the I+1 technique, or put a little bit more vocabulary or grammar than they know. They didn't really understand the word sortilège or spell, but based on the context, they were able to figure it out. And after, when I asked them to help me write a beginning of their own story, I asked them to give me examples of verbs and also help me to translate them into the proper tenses. And these students are really great on the passé composé. They're a little weak on the imparfait, and that's why in this unit, when we're working in tandem with Mrs. Miro and myself, we're going to really stress the importance of knowing both and when they occur. So here, when I ask them questions, I'm assessing their base knowledge and to know if I need to push them or if I need to step back a little bit. By doing this, I'm able to see where their zonal proximal development is and whether or not they really need a lot of assistance or just a little bit of guided learning. I am a big proponent of Vygotsky's theory of how learning is social and it needs to be interactive. And so I do use a little bit of direct instruction, but I also like to ask my students and to give me their examples as opposed to me just dictating to them what they need to do. I feel that I have a mixed approach, and I do subscribe to a constructivist approach, but also I like to have direct instruction to make sure I'm modeling to my students. I use formative assessment by the means of questioning my students. I am able to assess their learning and understanding based on what they respond back to me. And in this way, they're actually guiding my instruction because I'm then informed upon what they know or what they need to know based on our unit plans.
So now that we've finished our unit, we'll be able to use summative assessment through their final project, right? So they're going to be writing their own fairy tale stories. The summative assessment will help us assess their growth and understanding from the beginning of the unit to the end.
And we're also looking to see their growth and metalinguistic knowledge from in terms of the grammar, when to use the different tenses, whether they understand the basics, and whether they not are able to continue on to learn even more complex and challenging grammar rules.
Right. Even more from this, we'll actually be able to judge the effectiveness of our own instruction based on the reports of their understanding and knowledge.
And the way that we have the assessment set up, it follows along with the student in a way that they're able to see from day one when they get here, say 7th grade, to when they graduate, if they choose to follow the program. They will then have a portfolio of things they have with them. They can see where they've grown, and they can also show, their parents, and even potentially, for different professions if they choose to pursue French or just show that they have this competency.